Welcome to Video Game Hour Live. We are part of THTV, the only FCC-licensed student television station in the country. I'm one of your hosts, Enoch.
And I'm your other host, Tommy, and in case you couldn't tell by the balloons behind us or our fancy attire, we actually have a very special show for you tonight. Tonight we are hosting the first ever Video Game Hour Live Awards show.
I'm very excited about it. I think we picked some good winners. And if you want to see how we got to those winners, you can go to youtube.com/videogamehourlive and watch the Game of the Year podcast, where we politely yelled at each other about which game should win. I don't think it's up yet. It probably will be soon, so I'm sure it'll be there eventually. But I think we managed to pick good choices, and we hope you agree, and I'm really excited about tonight.
Yeah, and you know, without some further ado, let's go ahead and look at our first award, presented by our very own Bryn Hersfeld.
When it comes to first impressions, visuals can make or break a video game. Whether the game has a clean, simplistic look or detailed scenery that looks straight out of a nature documentary, art plays a pivotal role in the player's experience, especially with extreme detail becoming more and more popular. 2018 was an excellent year for video game visuals, reflected by this year's nominees. First, we have God of War 4, richly detailed from its scenery to its monsters. Grease, an elegant pastel watercolor adventure. And Red Dead Redemption 2, a cinematic masterpiece of landscaping and environment. And with no further ado, we would like to award Grease with the Best Art Award of 2018.
Hi, and we're back, and we're here talking with our very own Jillian, who, from what I know, loves Grease quite a bit.
I like Grease a lot.
Yeah. So
She's the Grease representative.
Yes.
I was the only one who even knew what it was.
Well, yeah, you converted us all, and that's why we won this award.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. So could you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about Grease?
So Grease is a platformer, puzzle kind of, about a woman going through a traumatic experience. And as you go through the game, as May, you collect more colors. So it starts off totally gray, as in Grease, and then as she learns more about herself and goes through this journey, she gains more color and gets her voice back. So at this point in the game, you can see like we have red and green. That's what I've collected so far here. Yeah, and like the game is stress-free and all about trying to like get you through a process, right, of emotion of whatever kind it may be.
The story's pretty abstract, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of take what you get out of it.
Yeah, that's kind of the point they were going for, is like whatever feelings you derive from it is kind of like their point.
Yeah. And the story itself is also very motivated by the art of the game.
Yes, yeah. And the art is inspired by an artist named Conrad Rosetta, I think is his name. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But like they wanted to capture his art style. So lots of watercolor and shapes, and I think they really got it here.
As well as just the color itself. It's also beautifully animated. Like the main character herself, she's all animated by hand, right?
I think so. They made it, it's implied, but.
It's implied. It looks like it is. It's very fluid.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's extremely gorgeous. Like one of the best moments of like fluid in the watercolor too is when you get a new color. I'm thinking about when you get the color blue, because that's one of the best moments I think that I've seen in the game. Is like the color like that you grab is like slowly like starts to drip onto the page. That's what it kind of looks like. And then of course, because you have all these other pre-existing colors, they start to like mesh together.
Blend together,
Yeah, so when you have red and then you get blue, the light becomes purple and stuff like that. And it's this nice mesh of everything. Right?
Yeah, how like different aspects of your life start to like blend together and come up with like new meanings, new colors, things like that. And as you go on, her dress also changes with the world. So you get new like powers per se, but like ways to traverse the world change. And so her dress, along with the environment, affect that.
So recently there have been a lot, surprisingly, there's kind of a renaissance of wonderfully artistic platformers, like platforming games in the last few years, like there's Cuphead, Ori and the Blind Forest, Hollow Knight. What do you think makes this stand out from those and worthy of the Game of our Visuals Award?
Well, I think like a lot of those really focus on the gameplay in addition to like the art. And then this one, like I think it's more about like the experience, and so the environment is the experience, right? And I think that's what makes it set out. And it's a little more like comforting, I'd say, than those other ones.
Definitely. Cuphead and Hollow Knight, very stressful. I know Ori and the Blind Forest, it's hard.
Yeah, but like
This
not
is a
only that,
good
Oh,
flip
sorry.
side of the coin.
but like the art style itself is like softer, more
That is true.
not quite pastel, but you know what I mean. Like
Right.
there's hard lines in Cuphead, right? And in
Yeah. Yes.
Hollow Knight, it's pretty dark. In this, it's like kind of in between, but softer.
Yeah, it's very soft, and like the colors themselves are not like dark or anything. It's just like like the background is like a soothing blue, and the red is like not too harsh. So it's like it's like a gentle sunlight and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So
and I
it's
think
all-
it captures like what this is supposed to be, like stress-free, and then they want the developers wanted to capture like loneliness, and I think like softer colors
Yes.
are better at that.
And sort of to play on the opposite end of Enoch's question, why do you think this game? We've had several other games, one of them being like Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a beautiful game in its own right that was nominated for this category. So why do you think the more artistic games like Grease are better suited, or just even in general, just like more worthy of this award than the higher resolution, like almost realistic games?
Well, I think like your question kind of says it right there. Is like realism sometimes is too much, right? This is a sort of escapism, especially during a traumatic experience. Like, why would you want the real world? Like, why would you want to see that again? Like, wouldn't you want to go to a space that's more comforting and more reminiscent of what you're feeling, I guess? I also think that just like sometimes like the enjoyment is in the art itself, so not so much like how nice it looks, but then experiencing that niceness too.
Yeah.
I think that's why like it's not just a pretty game, like there's so many pretty games, right? But it's also like that is the game. Like you can see here like the trees have been changing and like the world reacts to you. But like, and so it does in Red Dead Redemption 2, of course, but I think here you can see like,
It's just like butterflies.
yeah, butterflies, this feeling more so than just like, the blood looks really cool.
Yeah, it's just like
I don't know like a better way to put that. Like, it's not,
Yeah, we get, I understand. what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not to be like, those aren't sophisticated because they are in their own way, but like, I also think that this is a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like accessible to
Yeah.
any audience. Like
Is that-
anybody could play this.
Is that something you want to see more games kind of adapt and start using?
Yeah, I really do. Especially like, I don't want to say this like this, but like as a woman, like games that are also like are open to femininity is really cool. Not that this is a game for girls, but like there's a reason why games like Stardew and things like that have been becoming more popular, but because I think they are more in touch with like both audiences.
Yeah, it's not just the gritty sort of, this is a really realistic gun in Call of Duty. It can reach more people. than
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the
And I think
violence
that's
aspect.
super important in gaming.
No, I agree. I think it is to have a wide breadth of different things that look different and feel different, so that it's not all
Yeah.
the same sort of brown-looking realistic thing.
Yeah, yeah. We've had enough of those games. I don't know. Like that, I think that's the biggest thing is like you can literally see something different
Yeah,
from
it's literally, yeah,
Greece.
literally.
yeah.
And so do you think with the rise of more hyper-realistic games as technology gets better, because that's what people tend to lean towards, is like how real can we get with this? Do you think we'll also be seeing an increase of more artistic games to balance it out?
I really think so. I think you hit that uncanny valley point eventually where you can't get any more realistic and it starts to look scary. But then also like I think people in general, like the same thing with multiplayer games, how everyone's like, I'm sick of multiplayer,
Yeah.
like it's becoming oversaturated. So I think that these things will definitely continue to rise. No doubt.
Yeah.
I love this cool bird thing.
Oh yeah.
It's a
like,
very cool bird thing.
yeah, if you watch it, it's just like the paint is kind of just like melting away. It's really awesome because even like a negative encounter in the game is given just as much beauty as like the main character in
Yeah.
the background itself.
They really want to make every frame look pretty.
I think they definitely succeeded.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, it won, so
I love it.
it counts for something.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for Greece right now, but let's go ahead and look at what VGHL's favorite games of 2018 were.
No game I played in 2018 that was freaking great. It was Battletech. Battletech is a game about, you get a team of 4 mechs together, 4 mech pilots to get in 4 mechs that you create, and they go and fight other mechs. Because I'm just running around, shooting missiles, hitting mechs, got my company of mercenaries called the Scions of Iron because I'm a very big nerd. You get to role play your life as like, what if I was a cool guy, which I'm not in real life, and then I get to be in a video game, and also I get to command a bunch of other cool people, and we get to go blow their mechs up. So that's like really cool, and I like it. And that's really about it, because I don't want to talk a bunch about being a dumb mech person.
So my favorite game I played in 2018 was Deltarune. The story was weird. I really liked the alternate universe sort of thing. It made me cry when I saw Sans in front of the house, and I was like, my son! And then him not remembering me felt very surreal. Just that's how the whole game felt for me, and I can't wait to see what Toby does next with Deltarune.
One of my favorite games last year was a little indie game made by Toby Fox called Deltarune. Deltarune is a turn-based RPG by Toby Fox, and it follows in the vein of Undertale, but it's more structured as a traditional turn-based RPG, but it still has mechanics from Undertale that are carried over, like the bullet dodge. And the first time I saw the combat play out, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love this. And I can't wait to play more of it. It just sucks there was only 2.5 hours of it. I can't wait.
My favorite game that I played in 2018 was Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Darkness for the DS. And the reason I love that is because I've loved that game. I've had it since I was 8, and actually playing it in 2018 was the first time I played it in about 9 years. So it was really fun to revisit it. You used to be a human and you're now a Pokemon, so you have to figure out what the heck's up with that. I really missed the story because it's oddly compelling for what I thought it was. I remember when I was 8 playing the game, I'm like, this is really good for what this game is. And I was playing it not too long ago, and I'm like, this is still really good for 9 years after playing it. And I really love it, and I highly recommend it.
My favorite game from 2018 was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch, and it's just become one of the most accessible fighting games I've ever played. I think you can give this controller to anybody. You can give it to your sister, you can give it to your grandma, you can give it to your baby brother, and he's probably going to kick your ass with Bowser because he's just too strong. He's just too big. But it doesn't matter because even when you're getting your ass kicked, you're just having fun. Just the level of quality that they've brought to the roster, I can't believe how every single character feels viable, feels fun, feels competitive. I love playing it still, learning more, getting better, and it's just one of the most delightful games I've played this year.
One of my favorite gaming experiences of 2018 was playing A Way Out. A Way Out is a 2-person split-screen co-op game that requires you to play split-screen even if you're not actually looking at the same screen. You have to look at your other player's screen to get clues for what you have to do, and you have to coordinate timing of certain actions in order to progress. And by far is the single best co-op gaming experience that I've ever had playing a video game. The story, the gameplay, the action, the twist at the end is all fantastically done and is a beautiful game to play.
One of my favorite video games this year was Life is Strange 2. I really liked the first game, Life is Strange. However, I felt that there were some things that they could have worked on. In this story, we see Sean and Daniel, who are both brothers and really care for each other. You can really tell by just the actions they do and all the emotions that come through the game. Like the tension between the brothers, knowing that Daniel has a power and he doesn't know how to control it. So Sean, the big brother, has to be there to help out. And that really kind of resonates with me. I mean, they are Hispanic, so that's also a plus because I don't see that many minority characters in video games. Yeah, hopefully everything goes well for them in the 3rd episode.
I'm Michael Truex. Best Gameplay and Mechanics recognizes the video games that feel the best to play and have the overall best controls and in-game features. The finalists for this year are God of War, Battletech, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. God of War was a fantastic third-person action-adventure game featuring intense combat and great exploration. BattleTech soared as a turn-based strategy game with giant mechs as the combatants, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate displayed tight controls in another entry of a classic fighting game franchise. All of these games shine in their own unique ways, but only one of them could come out on top. Ultimately, we have decided that our award for Best Gameplay and Mechanics of 2018 goes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
3, 2, 1, go!
Welcome back. Here with us to talk about it is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate expert, Joe Lungi.
That's me. Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad I can here to be talking about Super Smash Bros.
We're glad you're here, because you know everything about Super Smash Bros.
Everything there is to know.
Everything.
I'm your guy.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
What do you want to know?
How's the gameplay? We just talked how about it was good, but like, give me the deets. What are the specific reasons the gameplay of this game is so good?
So some people might say it's the best playing game of 2018. We're in 2019 now.
Some people.
So the reason why we picked this game is because of a multitude of factors, really. But I think it really comes down to just how accessible the game is overall, and just how balanced it is across the board. I think those are the two main ones for me, at least. If you talk about just the core gameplay, just the way it goes in motion. You can see it right now. This computer is absolutely destroying somebody because they got a smash ball by Chase. That was cool. The reason they could do that is because they have like these items on, and so you can play this with your family. I always talk about this. Like, your grandma can come in and play Super Smash Bros. And she can absolutely kick your butt. Like, no questions asked. Because it's the perfect balance between skill and like this great equalizer. It's like almost like Mario Kart when you get the blue shell, but it's on steroids now. I've never even like seen this Final Smash right now. This is so cool.
That's Piranha Plants, yeah.
This is one of the new characters. Like, this character just launched, so Nintendo's already like supporting this game with all these really cool new characters. Like, Piranha Plant has one of the most unique kits I've like ever seen in this fighting game, like in this entire franchise. And it's just a weird, dumb character that's like really, really fun to play, even if people are saying like, oh, he's not even that good, but just have a good time playing.
And I think that's also the important thing, is that they're not introducing characters anymore that are broken. They're introducing characters that fit well into the game, despite the fact that they have nothing like it else in the game. And it's just so important to have like a thoroughly balanced roster for a game with, what, 75 characters now?
Yeah, I think this is the 75th, maybe the 76th. Even more when you add the Miis. You can have as many characters as you want.
Sure.
You can put me in the game if you want.
Me?
Me. Hey, ultimately, you know. But it's just such a fun time. Like, there's never a moment when I'm not like in the mood to play this game. Like, I could be happy, I could be sad, but if this game is just on the TV and people around me are playing it, like, you always feel so welcome to just come sit down, pick up the controller. You can jump right in no matter like what skill level everyone else is at, depending on how you want to play the game with all these multitude of rule sets. Like, they have so much more flexibility in this game than all the other ones in the series. Like, they've really just like, I know the game is called Ultimate, but they just pulled all the stops. Like, they've listened to so much fan feedback. Like, every single map can be in Battlefield mode and Final Destination mode. Like, it's just overflowing with all these different maps. You can turn the stage hazards off. Like, all these different unique things that have never even been possible in a Smash game now. They're just putting it all together, and you can take it on the go. Like, which is maybe the craziest part.
Yeah. Personally, I love how you can set your own rule sets.
Yes.
And just pick from them from the start, so you don't have to go in and change it every time you play a match.
It's so nice.
That's one of my favorite little conveniences that they've added, just to make it a better package.
We don't have to change it from time now, every single time.
Yes, it can just always be stock.
Always
like
stock
it should
free.
be.
And like the greatest thing, like you said about picking this up whenever I was feeling like not so great today, and I just picked up the game and played it for an hour, I was like, this is okay.
And you can play it for an hour, and you can play it for 10 hours. Like, I've done both, and it's insane. Like, you shouldn't probably play for 10 hours straight, but you can. You can play it online because the netcode's not that bad, which is saying something.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, the online is just a great time. They've made it so that you can have custom rule sets, which a lot of people weren't necessarily a fan of, but I actually think this is a really great compromise to make everybody happy, because you're going to queue with people with similar rule sets online. They have this cool new matchmaking system where you get characters in like Elite Smash, so you're encouraged to play around with every single different character. Be like, how well can I do? How far can I go? Can I get everyone in Elite Smash? Probably can. It's pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
Just give it time.
Yeah, give it time.
Eventually, one day.
That's one of the greatest things about this game, is that the limits are where you set them. And I've always like, we were talking about this earlier, not too long ago. It's just like, regardless of what the rules are or like the characters, it's like as long as you're like, you can choose what you want and how far you go with it. And I think that's such a great thing for a game that's like for everybody. It's just like everybody can just like go, hey, we're all gonna meet like at the middle, or I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pick this one thing and go all the way and just like try to like destroy you with Olimar. If that's something you want to do for some reason, you could do it.
Yo, Olimar bumps. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that out there. I'm not good with him, but I'm scared of Olimar.
oh
If someone
yeah,
picks
Olimar.
Olimar, I'm like, I'm scared. I'm
Something's
getting out of
happening.
there.
I think that's the character that took me the longest to unlock. Every time he would come into Challenger approaching, he kicked my butt every time. I probably had to fight him a dozen times before I finally
I'm
unlocked
so
him.
sorry you had to fight him that many times.
He was like
That's
he was like
awful.
my last one, and it was just taking forever.
No one
It was
deserves
so
that,
long.
Enoch. No one. But another thing, like just every single character is so fun. Like there are, we said 75, 76 characters. Most of them have like completely unique kits, like totally different from each other. So there's this huge, diverse way to play this game, depending on who you want to pick. Like there's somebody for everybody. Even the Rathalos is in here. They found a way. They finally did it. But like there's a couple Echo Fighters which have a couple of the same moves. Like you have a Crom, but even Crom has like slight little tweaks to them, make him more interesting, right? It's a little bit different than playing Roy or one of the other 20 Fire Emblem characters. Let's add another Fire Emblem character. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Which one?
All the Fire Emblem characters.
Put a dude with an axe in there.
Hector.
Yeah.
Yeah, put Hector in there.
Yeah, there's
See,
a lot-
there
there's
we
a-
go.
there's a
This
lot of
kid's got
sword guys.
ideas.
Yeah, I know it is.
A lot of sword guys, you're right. Link's a sword guy. He doesn't have a counter. We should fix that. But the point is, like, all these different kits are so diverse, but all of them feel so fun. All of them are going to fit for somebody, even if you don't like some of them. I believe, truly, there is a character for everybody, for everyone's play style, without a doubt.
Do you want to take a second and go over everyone's favorite characters really quick?
Yeah, what are some of your favorite ones to play around with?
Well, I really like the big dudes a lot. I think it's really fun to be like a slow, heavy character, and traditionally they've sucked. Like they've been really, really bad in a game like Melee especially, a game like Brawl even, but now they feel like they're actually competitive. They hit so, so hard. So I've always been a really big Ike fan, and like I know they made Bowser really, really great in this game. I always thought King K. Rool was a lot of fun. I know he's really cheesy, but something I like to play the heel a lot of the times among my friends. So I'll just pick the bad guy, and I'll just, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
DDD is always a go-to.
I
The
love
king.
DDD. He's one of mine. I've always loved DDD.
DDD has like the best animations in the game. Like
He
every time he
does.
jumps around, he just smiles. Like, oh, that dude puts a smile on his face.
That's so great.
Ganondorf is so fun. He just like, you hit him twice. You hit somebody 3 times and Jigglypuff's dead. He's gone. You don't have to worry about it. Get out of my face. Goodbye.
What about you?
I like picking characters that are so hard to explain to people. I've recently started playing with Jigglypuff more and more.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to like learn combos from like up throw, up air, rest, and like that almost lands every time, which is great when you do it. Terrible when you can't, because it's almost always off stage, and then I just fall all the way off and I lose the game almost every time. And then like Rosalina, I've been playing a lot,
Rosalina's
which
fun.
is all positioning, because you're basically just 2 different characters at the same time, and so you have to worry about like, is this too far? Is this the perfect range so I can hit you from with one character or the other? And it's just a whole like list of things that you have to like mentally prepare for that I am not ready for, but I'm working there. That's the point.
And when you get in the zone, it can just be so obnoxious. You can just start juggling somebody with 2 characters back and forth. Like, oh, it's infuriating, dude. I love it.
One of my favorite moments is that King K. Rool did his down throw, or buried me basically, and then I just had Luma punch him away. That's the thing. He just sat there, and I was just like, I was furiously tapping A just to like get rid of like whatever threats there were.
And there's no other character that can do that. Not a single other one has like that kind of response to that specific stimulus. Like there's so many matchups. Like that's another joke we have, right? It's like finally the Wii Fit Trainer can fight Cloud. Like you can finally see in this fated matchup who is gonna win. It's Wii Fit Trainer, more powerful canonically. Enoch.
It's the power poses, these tricks.
Absolutely, dude. Have you seen them?
I know.
Enoch, who's your favorite character?
Speaking to sort of there's a playstyle for everyone, there's a character that I like in nearly sort of every class. Like if we're going for a big guy, I like DDD.
Yeah.
If I'm just trying to go for speed, I like playing a Sheik. If we're talking sword anime boys, I like Cloud.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
if we're trying to do spacing, I like Richter a lot. So I kind of bounce between all 4 of them. I like for the different circumstances. I like all of those 4 characters.
You're the true scumbag. You're
Yeah.
picking the Belmont. I thought you said space animal, and I was like, well,
Sorry.
that's not Wolf. What are you talking
No.
about? Yeah, Wolf's good.
Wolf is insane.
Wolf's
I've been
scary.
like perfecting getting the critical hit with his side B,
Yeah.
which takes so much time, but once you get it right every time, you're just a threat. Because regardless, it's 15 damage or a spike. So it works out for everyone, and nobody likes a spike.
And
I
we
lo-
didn't. I'm sorry.
That's good. I love that we can accidentally say space animal, and there's one in the game.
Yeah.
There's multiple in the game. That's how many different things that there are. Is that we can accidentally say a random combination of words, and a representative of that is in the game.
You have to like try to think of who else to put in the game at this point. Like it's ridiculous. People were like mad when they finally revealed like, oh, that's all the characters. I'm like, what more do you people want? Like, look at this. We got Mario fighting Ashley with a Metroid against, is that Ike? Yeah. Come on, Chase, you got him. You can do it. Hold it down. Oh. Yo, you get that up smash on Ike, baby. Mwah. Oh, it's perfect every time. Oh my God. But we didn't even talk about that. Like, you can play a character and the skill ceiling is so low. Like you can get in there and just play Ike and just smash around all the time. You can have a great time. But then like if you really want to get like delve a little bit deeper into the game, you can just start learning aerials. You can start jumping around, learning how to short hop, learning how to like get the spacing right on Ike. Because I think Ike is a really great character to teach someone who's like new to the game because he's so straightforward. But he has so much room to grow if you just teach these like fundamental skills of the game. And like there's just so much to discover. Like I learn more every time I play the game. I feel like I'm always getting better. And like that's so rewarding for a game.
And like that's a very important thing is that every character has, I think it's about only like 16 different moves that they can do, like in total. But every time they do it, it's insanely different from each other. Like even the Echo Fighters, they all have different ways that they react to the same moves. So it's like, there's such a large, expansive way to look at it. And there's also like, if you want to go, just pick one and you can just learn 4 things and you can start the game and end it that way.
Absolutely.
Smash really is a great game. We're very happy with it. But for right now, we're going to go look at some of the, unfortunately, biggest failures for 2018 because not everything can be perfect. But we'll be back in just a minute with the game of the year.
Sad.
2018 was a great year for gaming, but also a not so good year for gaming. I'm going to take some time here and explore the latter. Here's my top 5 most disappointing moments in the gaming industry in 2018. Number 5, Fortnite's success on ripping off dances of others and not paying the dancers. How could you talk about gaming news in 2018 without mentioning Fortnite, arguably the biggest game on the planet? Well, Epic isn't entirely unworthy of being on this list, and it has to do with their lovely dance emotes featured in-game. Epic Games, through ignorance or indifference, have used some popular dances created by a large variety of dancers and choreographers without paying a cent to any of them. Seeing as how the dances make a ton of money for Epic, the creators are understandably frustrated, and some are even suing, saying they should have been asked to include their dance in Fortnite because they own the rights to the dances. We'll see where these cases end up in 2019. Number 4, Blizzard announcing a Diablo mobile game and the subsequent reaction. A new Diablo game. Teasers had been going up for months on Diablo's official social media channels, and people were ecstatic that another Diablo game was being made. November rolled around, and with it, BlizzCon, the hardcore expo for the most dedicated of Blizzard fans. After traveling, in some cases around the world, for the occasion, Diablo fans were left entirely bewildered with the outcome of events. Instead of Diablo 4 being announced, like many anticipated, the big announcement to end the show was Diablo Immortal, a mobile game most likely to be free-to-play with all that microtransaction goodness we love to hate. To add insult to injury, it won't even be ported to the PC. Don't y'all have phones?
We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys know?
Number 3, report on Riot Games where there's a culture of sexual harassment and a gender wage gap. Riot Games, the studio behind League of Legends, found themselves in the news in 2018 for something completely unrelated to their game. As reported by Kotaku, there is a strong culture of sexism at Riot. Women are rarely considered for positions of authority, consistently commented on for their appearance, and have been harassed, along with men, with unsolicited images of genitalia, among other inappropriate messages. One of the things that Riot looks for in many applicants is a core gamer mindset. Many of the female applicants to Riot have been let go during the application process due to not being considered core gamer enough, even if they had played games for just as long as their male counterparts. Riot also claims to like people who are direct, tend to give open feedback, and challenge other Rioters. But when women exhibit these qualities, they were deemed too emotional, or too loud at Riot. These aren't just Riot's issues, these are cultural and societal problems too. But to hear the detailed accounts from current and former employees about their treatment at the company was definitely one of the more disappointing things of 2018, and I only scratched the surface of the full report. Here's hoping things change. Number 2, Canvas Bag Fiasco, Fallout 76 quality in general. Fallout 76 will be a game that will be brought up when discussions of Bethesda's reputation are had for years to come. Not only was it a buggy, lifeless, boring mess at launch, but there was more than the game that would end up stirring controversy for Skyrim's creators. I'm of course talking about the Canvas Bag Fiasco. In a nutshell, Bethesda advertised a canvas bag on the store page for their $200 collector's edition of Fallout 76. When gamers started receiving their packages, however, they realized that they were receiving nothing more than a cheap nylon bag instead of the canvas bag that they were advertised. Bethesda only continued to dig their grave, however, after being called out on the bait and switch. They responded that they couldn't make the original bags they intended because of the cost involved, and they eventually caved and gave the owners of the collector's edition $5 worth of atoms, the in-game currency for the microtransaction store, as their apology. I can't imagine Fallout fans are very happy with Bethesda right now. Number 1. Telltale getting shut down, workers unpaid and unnotified. Back in August, Telltale Games abruptly shut down their studio and fired almost everyone completely out of the blue, over 200 employees. There was no advance warning, in defiance of federal law, before the mass layoff occurred. That law requires that companies give at least 60 days to notify the employees before closing their doors. Not only was this illegal, but employees who had previously been able to provide their families had the rug taken right from under them. In addition, the already announced games the studios were working on were canceled, including the second seasons of The Wolf Among Us and Game of Thrones. The silver lining to this story is that Skybound Games has picked up most of the development team for The Walking Dead final season. And that's it for my top 5 most disappointing moments of the gaming industry in 2018. I couldn't include every disappointment, but these moments stuck out to me in particular. Hopefully, 2019 will be better. Now, back to the show.
Video Game Hour Live's #1 pick for Best Ongoing Game of 2018 is No Man's Sky. I'm sure many would question this decision, but with all of the updates that this game has done since its launch in 2016, we think it is deserving of this. Even with all the backlash after launch, Hello Games stuck with the game, adding base building, land vehicles, new environments, a completely reworked resource management system, reworked mining mechanics, ship classes, weapon classes, freighters, more NPCs, third-person view, multiplayer, a cohesive story, realistic animal behavior, underwater environments, the ability to own multiple ships, and the list goes on and on. All of this has been added to the game and is still being updated and added to. The fact that No Man's Sky has added all of this without charging for it, and the sheer amount of positive content that was added, is why we have picked it as our best ongoing game of 2018.
In a year of big games with a bombastic soundtrack, this year's winner for Best Original Soundtrack goes to the short and relaxing game Donut County. Donut County's creator, Ben Esposito, wants you to relax when you play this game. And that's exactly what the soundtrack does. Unique instruments such as the ukulele and using sounds such as hitting a table for drum beats leads to an organic soundtrack that draws you into the world. The game's theme of gentrification is also introduced through the music, with electronic sounds becoming more prevalent and layered into the music as the game progresses. All these different instruments come together to make a soundtrack that sounds like folk music in the city. It reflects Ben Esposito's own fascination with LA, the city he based the style of the game off of. You have songs focused on entirely organic styles of music like Bird of Paradise or Raccoon House music, which brings more of the lo-fi chill study music of today. This culminates to create an incredibly listenable soundtrack. Throughout the year, this was the one game soundtrack I put on that put me in a relaxed mood, which in the year 2018 was something I and the rest of the people in VGHL decided we needed as well.
Marvel's Spider-Man brings a diverse, layered, and enjoyable cast that is fun to watch through the entire game, and that's why it's our choice for Best Cast of Characters. Every person is unique and interesting, with their own goals and wrinkles to their relationships with Peter Parker. Mary Jane is the best she's ever been. She actually has her own goals and motivations, which is more than she's usually given. And every conversation she has with Pete is pure gold, whether it's cracking jokes at his expense or sharing a soft, small moment. Otto Octavius is given a similar treatment. Throughout the game, you get to know him better as a person than in any other incarnation. He is endearing, tragic, and understandable. Every other smaller character in the game is given their chance to shine too. Mr. Negative gets a better backstory than his comics origin, Tombstone is excitingly menacing, and even Harry Osborn, whose only appearances through audio logs, still feels like a real part of Peter's life. This is a Spider-Man game though, so New York itself is of course a character. Talking with the citizens in the city drives home that Spidey really is a friendly neighborhood hero. You'll have discussions about local pizza places, help a bird watcher in Central Park, have a pleasant conversation with a man who lost his pigeons, and hear J. Jonah Jameson yell at you for being a menace. If all this wasn't enough, Peter himself is the best he's ever been. Being so full of heart, kindness, determination, and quips make this my personal favorite Spider-Man ever. The cast of this game blew me away, and I can't wait to see more of them. Back again, Spider-Man is our choice for Best Narrative. It's a gripping ride from start to finish. It feels like all of the great Spider-Man stories, with all the fun, heartbreak, and twists we expect from the best in the franchise. It's a joy getting to see Peter this far into his career balancing his personal relationships and his superhero responsibilities. The relationships are really at the center of this game. Mr. Negative is a potential threat to Aunt May, Pete's mentor and father figure is going slowly insane, and he's beginning to rekindle his relationship with Mary Jane. All of these threads are carefully balanced and thought out. By the end of the game, every character has grown or changed in some way, and you feel the impact of each of these changes on Peter. The game also excels at doling out spectacle along with the emotional impact. Right at the beginning, you take out the Kingpin on his own turf, and it only gets bigger from there. Catching a crashing helicopter, controlling a breakout at the Raft supervillain prison, and most of all taking on the Sinister Six all make for fantastic Spider-Man moments I won't soon forget. The final scene of the game combines the best of both worlds for a dramatic, intense, and awe-inspiring final boss fight I don't want to spoil here. The narrative keeps up its great character work and engaging plot lines in the DLC, which introduces Black Cat, who gives rise to some of the funniest moments in the entire game. This is a story that keeps what has always worked so well for the franchise and adds new, exciting things into the mix, making it one of the best Spider-Man stories ever told.
And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the award for Game of the Year. 2018 was an amazing year for gaming, which unfortunately only makes our job harder. While there can only be one winner, we would like to let you know that every nominee in this category is a brilliant game in its own right, and we hope that you take the time to enjoy them and please, please look at them. The nominees for Game of the Year are Battletech, Celeste, God of War, Into the Breach, Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass, Marvel's Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, Red Dead Redemption 2, Return of the Obra Dinn, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And without further ado, our winner for the Game of the Year of 2018 is Marvel's Spider-Man.
Thanks, big guy.
Hi, it's me, Tommy, and along with our resident fanboy of Spider-Man.
If you couldn't tell from the last two awards that I presented because Spider-Man won, I'm the Spider-Man guy.
Yeah, and he also managed to put this up in the meantime.
Yes, I did.
So
Because Spider-Man is the best game of 2018.
And several other categories, but
yes.
So, Enoch, we're here. Spider-Man, give us the details.
Give us the details. Well, as you just saw, Spider-Man has a fantastic cast and narrative. The combat is also great. It's super fun. There's lots of cool gadgets, which is an Insomniac trademark. You can't have a good Insomniac game without a gadget wheel. And plus all of these cool animations for taking down cars, which happen in real time. It's not a cutscene. You're actually somewhat involved. Like this. Oh, this is the best one. But and then the music is great. It has a great superhero theme that I would love to hear more of. I doubt that they would incorporate it in Tom Holland's Spider-Man. They're pretty set on the original theme song being there, which is a great choice, by the way. I don't want to disparage that. But the music's great. The story's great. It looks fantastic. I could watch Spider-Man just swing around New York all day. I'd lose track of time.
Yeah, it is. I'm not going to lie. This is very entertaining to watch. And I haven't had too much interaction with Spider-Man games. The only game I've played is Spider-Man 2 way back when, and that was, in my opinion, a fantastic game. Which probably
everyone thinks that's a good. Yeah. Everyone thinks that's a good game.
But so, can you tell us what has changed and what makes this game so much better? Is like a great revitalization of the Spider-Man video game series.
Yeah, because Spider-Man had a rough time.
Yes,
for a long time in video games. especially the ones leading up to this and sort of the Amazing Spider-Man games published by Activision, were hot garbage, let's be honest. There were some people like, there was Edge of Time, right, I believe, or there was Shattered Dimensions and Web of Shadows and stuff like that. Edge of Time, I don't know. Yeah, that was one. But I enjoyed Shattered Dimensions a lot, and a lot of people who like Web of Shadows. But this is finally getting back to good Spider-Man. This actually has a good story. Unlike really most Spider-Man games, it's engaging, all the characters are great, the character dynamics are fantastic. I don't want to repeat what I just said in all of the cast and narrative ones, so I'll try to talk about other things. And this game just feels good. It's been said a million times in a billion different places on the internet. You feel like Spider-Man. Swinging is great. Going around New York, I really, really love how the music crescendos as you're diving down and then swings out and gets more heroic as you're fighting people and swinging around the city. And I love playing this game. It is my favorite game of all time. If you couldn't tell. And that was not a light decision to come by, I want to say. I am a huge Spider-Man fan in all ways. That was not an easy decision. It's hard to say this is categorically my favorite game ever. But after a lot of thought, this is my favorite game.
So, like you said, we're not going to touch too much back on subjects Enoch has already talked about, whether in a segment or not. But can you briefly give us a rundown on what makes characters like Mary Jane really amazing in this great game, and then Otto Octavius, just a brief characterization, even the DLC characters like Black Cat.
Yeah, the DLC, I actually just got to start playing the third DLC today because I've been really busy lately, so I haven't actually got to play all the DLC. But the first two were good, especially the first one. Like I said in the video before, Black Cat's great. Mary Jane has a real personality and goals and motivations. Otto Octavius, clearly taking cues from Spider-Man 2 and sort of him and Peter's relationship of being mentor, mentee, sort of like a father figure. This is even better than Spider-Man 2 because he's actually tragic. And it's not just, I made these inherently evil arms and the chip exploded, so now I'm inherently evil. He has reasons for what he's doing, and it's slow. It's not all of a sudden like a light switch is flipped. Actually, in Spider-Man 2, it was literally a light switch was flipped, ironically, and he turned evil. This is throughout the course of the game, and he gets to fight Sinister Six, which is awesome. You get to see cool renditions of the Rhino and Scorpion and Electro, and a really cool Mr. Negative, because in the comics he's not much of anyone really. And there's Screwball in this, who honestly is very annoying, but I like that they're getting some of the spectacular foes of Spider-Man stuff in the game. I'd love to see more of that in the second one.
And I'm not going to lie, it's been a fantastic year for the Spider.
It has.
In general.
Spider-Man has had such a good year. We kicked it off with Infinity War back in April when he didn't want to go and I didn't want him to go, but God, was his hair perfect. It looks so good. Everyone looks at me like I'm crazy. It is the most comic accurate Peter Parker hair we've ever seen in a movie. And then this game came out. It's the best Spider-Man game ever. And then recently, Into the Spider-Verse came out, which I'm not sure if it's the best Spider-Man movie ever, but it's up there. It certainly looks fantastic. It has multiple great Peter Parkers, which is a fun thing to say. It also has the best Miles ever. And I like Miles in this game, but Into the Spider-Verse, Miles, that's the definitive Miles, is Into the Spider-Verse Miles. So, and next year, we have Endgame, and though I don't know how much Spider-Man will actually be in it, he'll at least not be dust by the end of it. And then we have Far From Home 3 months later. When we're finally getting live-action Mysterio. This has been a good time for Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and the comics. The comics relaunched with a new writer this year, Nick Spencer, and Ryan Ottley is doing art on the book, which is awesome because he did Invincible, and that's great. I just want to mention the source material at least. I don't want to just leave out comics.
Cover all the bases while we're here. No, it's amazing. And honestly, it's such a breath of fresh air from seeing horrible Spider-Man content over and over again, specifically in the games, man.
Games haven't been good.
Not great track record.
There's been a lot of bad. And some would say the movies, there's been a lot of bad. I think there's good to see in all of the movies from different perspectives. There's different things are good about all of the movies. I'm gonna put it at that.
Okay, and so really quickly, you can go ahead and see here this cel-shaded Spider-Man suit. Can you go ahead and tell us more about the collectibles and the suits within the game?
There's a million different suits.
There's another one.
He has the Iron Spider arms right now, which are part of the Infinity War Iron Spider suit, but the Civil War Comics Iron Spider suit is also in the game. One I love is the Spider Clan suit, which is based off of a Spider-Man manga. That one is the most cartoony in the game. They just recently added the Bombastic Bagman right? I believe.
Bombastic.
Bagman, I think is the adjective they used to describe Bagman. It was one that I love because it was in Shattered Dimensions and it has a place in my heart. She's got a paper bag on his head and a Fantastic Four outfit. They also had the Future Foundation Spider-Man suit because it was a whole Fantastic Four day thing. There's the Spider-Man 2099 suits, which both blue and white variations, which is cool to look great. There's the Flaming Skull, Ghost, Spider-Man, every Spider-Man. Almost everyone you could want, except for the black suit, but that was for creative reasons because they believed the suit needed a story to go with it and didn't want to just have it in there.
And they added the Sam Raimi suit.
Yes,
right?
they added the Sam Raimi suit recently, much to the request of an angry internet. They also added the Into the Spider-Verse suit, speaking of that, which looks great. I love the suits that look completely unrealistic and cartoony, if you can't tell. The one based on the manga, the cel-shaded one, and Spider-Verse, I think are all my favorite ones, because I just love how it looks like a Spider-Man cartoon.
The creators of and there's the Bombastic Bagman suit. The creators of this game, honestly, they knew what they were doing, and they love to give their audiences stuff, stuff that has playability to it, but also just fun. I can look like a cartoony Spider-Man. I can look like I jumped out of the comic books.
Yeah.
And it's always great to see people who are willing to cater to their fan base and already in a game that's done so much for them.
Absolutely. Insomniac definitely knew what they wanted to do and what people wanted from a Spider-Man game and what they wanted to do with the Spider-Man game. There's even a suit power that is just quips. You activate it and you insult people. Because one of Spider-Man's main things is he quips and he thwips. Those are his two things that he does. And on the whole, not even just the suit power, but his quips in the game are fantastic. One of the reasons this is my favorite game of all time is because I think, this is my favorite Peter of all time. I love who is represented in this. I mentioned it briefly in the last video, but he's just so kind. He wants to make friends with everyone. I love the way he delivers his quips in this, because there's a very specific way that I like Spider-Man to deliver quips, and it's hard for me to articulate because it's really like a feeling thing. It's done with the right sense of cheekiness in this game.
I totally understand.
He's doing it because he wants to get a rise out of them and he's trying to distract himself, and just the line delivery, "You're alone with all," plays Peter in this, and he does a fantastic job. He is my favorite Spider-Man. Although shout out to Josh Keaton, who was the voice of him in Spectacular Spider-Man, who also did really good.
He quips and he thwips. I'm sorry, that's such a great line.
Thank you. I'm proud of that. He quips and he thwips. Those are his two things.
Yeah, right off the cuff.
Yeah. I mean, well, I may have thought of it before.
But can you tell us a bit more about the DLCs and the add-on content? I mean, we covered Black Cat a little bit, but just more to the
There were 3 DLC packs. The City That Never Sleeps was the sort of overarching thing. Black Cat was the first one, Hammerhead was the second one, and Silver Sable was the third one. I'm making my way through the third one now. The first one was much better than the second one, I'll say. The second one was a little less fun because Black Cat, you bring her in and she's
you
great.
were a big fan of Black Cat.
Her and Peter have this great relationship, or past relationship, where she's constantly just making him uncomfortable by kind of flirting with him and making him think that he has a son with her, even, which he freaks out about and then Mary Jane freaks out about, because how do you handle that? What do you do with it? But yeah, Black Cat is definitely my favorite part of the DLC. She pops back in for a second in the third one.
Yeah.
At least I don't think she pops back up for after what I've seen. I haven't finished it, so I can't say for sure. But
yeah. And also the city itself is great, because you've told me you can just wander through and there's always someone to talk back at you or yell at you, because it's New York.
You'll just land down on the street
there it is.
and you can scare people, or people will also be like, "Oh, hey, cool, that's Spider-Man." Or someone will walk down the street and someone will be like, "I don't think you're the real Spider-Man. That costume doesn't look right." And then you'll just fly away on a web and zoom. But
yeah, it's always great to see someone who not just does the Spider-Man story right, but portrays the setting correctly.
Yeah.
And New York is always just great for Spider-Man. And there's always J. Jonah Jameson always ready to yell at Spider-Man, and Peter Parker has to deal with it. It's just always a great connectivity between everybody. Just watching, especially you've told me in this game, everyone how they know each other or don't know each other, all affects because it's all through Spider-Man.
Yeah, and if there's any one character that is the most consistent throughout all the Spider-Man movies, it is New York. Because there was the guy in the very first Sam Raimi movie who was like, "You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us," and throws trash to the Green Goblin. And then in The Amazing Spider-Man, they just line up all these cranes for him down a street. And then in Homecoming, there's he's doing flips for people and helping a lady, and then gets a churro. New York is probably the most consistently characterized character in the entire franchise.
Yeah, overall, this game is great in many aspects. and we-
Amazing, spectacular, ultimate, friendly,
Yeah.
all the Spider-Man adjectives.
Yeah, really, we would highly recommend you go check it out. It is our game of the year for 2018, and I think that's all the time we have for right now.
It is. I just want to real quick thank everyone for helping out, thank everyone for watching, thank everyone for Chase for getting the gameplay, everyone behind the cameras doing all sorts of amazing work to get the show
Broadcasts.
up and running. Yes, everyone has done a great job. We couldn't do it without them, and I really think this went well. And so I would like to do this again next year. We'll see. I think we probably will.
Yeah, I'm
I think
down.
this was a success.
Yeah.
But until next time, I'm Enoch.
I'm Tommy.
This has been Video Game Hour Live.
Bye.
Bye.